Hello, welcome to Sobertech Solutions. Today we are going to be continuing our previous discussion. So today is a part 2 of my previous video I made on how to work with arithmetic operations in Python. And we are going to move this video to the next level. We are going to be looking at advanced arithmetic operations in Python, where we are going to be accepting the user's input and processing that particular input and displaying the outcome or the result on the console. All right, so if you are new here, do not forget to subscribe, share, like, and also leave your comment. If you are old here, thank you for showing up once again. Without much ado, let's dive into today's video. So in my previous video, we go to this particular point here where we wrote this particular code and Python was able to give it the result. And I told you guys that we are going to be looking at how Python managed to get these results for us. Okay, so we are going to be looking at the logic behind this particular problem. How do we solve it as human beings? Okay, if this particular problem is given to us, most of us are going to deviate. We don't even know how to go by in order to solve this particular problem. Others are going to start with addition, others are going to start with multiplication, others are going to start with subtraction, and others are also going to start with division as their first target. All right, so now we are going to dive into this particular section where I explain to you how Python was able to solve this particular problem. All right, so now I'm going to print another information here. I'll print board mass. This board mass stands for bracket of division, multiplication, addition, and subtraction. Okay, so we are going to be working with division, multiplication, addition, and subtraction since we don't have any brackets in our code. These brackets are not for these particular numbers. Okay, they are for the print function. All right, okay, so now to solve this particular problem, we need to follow this particular formula. That is saying we should first of all work with the division, then after which we come to the multiplication, we come to addition, and finally subtraction. All right, so now we are going to print the division first. That is going to be 20 divided by 30. I'll just copy that. Then I'm going to print 20 divided by 30. Then I'll print this as 30 times 15. So 30 multiplied by 15. So when we run our program, let's see the result we're going to be getting. Okay, we are getting 0.666, and this one, that is for the division, and the multiplication is giving us 450. Now that we now know how multiplication and division works, let's look at addition. So now we are going to work with addition since the result of multiplication is now known. So we are going to add this and the product of this. Okay, then if I print this, I'm going to get 470. So it's just like 20 plus 30 times 15. So we first work with 30 times 15, which is 450. Then we are now adding 20 to it. Better still, you can also do it this way, 450. And we are going to get the same result. All right, you can see 470. Now it is time to work with what? The last one, which is subtraction. So I will just need to copy this because I want my answer should be the same. So I just want to copy this particular division outcome. And now we are going to print that here. So we have from here to here is 470. 470. So minus the whole of this is 0.66666. All right, so I'll paste that here. And now we can print and see what we are going to get. You see, we are getting the same thing here. You see, the first one is 469.333. The second one, with the board mass formula, we are getting 469.333. Now, all right. So now we are going to move this particular program to the next level, where we are going to be accepting user input. Then we're going to do some kind of calculations with the user's input. All right, let's dive in. So I'm just going to clear the whole of this. And now I want to accept user's input. If you have not watched any of my videos, you can get that in this video description. You follow along, you'll be able to understand how we are going to be doing a whole lot of things over here. You can get the beginner class in this video description. All right, so let's dive in. So we are going to be calculating, doing some kind of computation with the user's input. And I need two variables to store the user's input, and one will definitely store the outcome of the user's input. So I'll be needing first number, then it will be of integer. Then we invoke the input function. Then we are going to say enter first number, and I will give a space. I will explain that to you. Instead of writing the same thing, I just need to copy this and I'll do some changes over there. All right, so I'll just last number, and now I'll come here and change this to the last number. Okay, so now I need a variable that will store the computation of these particular variables. Okay, whatever the user will enter will be stored in the first number variable. The second number the user will enter will be stored in the second number variable. So I need to add this number and assign the results to a particular variable. So I will need another variable called result, will be equals to first number plus last number. Okay, so now I will print the results, and I'll print. Okay, so now I can print total is equal to, then I can do this in several ways. Okay, I can do this in several ways. So I can do this with using the format key, which is letter F, lowercase for that matter. Then I need the curly braces, which is shift curly bracket open to get this. Then I'll now say result. All right, so now I'll print the results on the console. I can save my project using Ctrl S. Then I'll run my program here. Now, if I click to enter the first number, you can see that we have one space. We have one space before the where the cursor is. So now there's a space from this particular information, and where the cursor is, there's one space. So now it is waiting for the user's input, and that is the same space we gave here. That is giving this particular space. So if I remove this particular space here and rerun my program, so now you can see that the cursor is very close to this enter first number. You see, there's no space, just because there's no space here. So that is the reason for which I gave that particular space. All right, so now I'm going to enter 100, hit enter, and now you can see that this one there's space. That is why there's also space here, 140, and I'll hit enter, and we are going to get 240. All right, so now this is how we print, or we take numbers from the user, then we try to compute them. Then we are computing on this particular information based on the user's input. So the first number is stored here, the second number is stored here. We are adding first number plus the last number, and we are giving the summation of this particular result to this particular variable called result. And this particular variable is also of integer data type. Okay, it's integer data type. All right. So I showed you how to check whether a variable is to a particular data type or not. So now we need to write a particular function here, and this function is what I want to teach you to check to see either if this result is truly an integer or not. So I'm just going to use print here, and I'll say type, bracket open and close, then I'll say result. That's another function we are going to use, and that's the type function, results here. And now if I run my program, it will tell me the data type of these particular numbers after the result has been shown. All right, so I'll enter first number here, 100. You can enter any random numbers provided it's an integer. All right, so now I can say 140. Now let me just say 150. Then you see we are having totals is equals to what, 250, and they are saying the result variable is an integer. All right, okay, let's advance this particular program. So to advance this particular program, we are going to be writing a program that calculates the ages of people. Okay, so let's do that. I just want to clear everything here, and the date, I need a date of birth, so I'll use DOB, a variable called DOB, that will store the date of birth. The year you were born is an integer. Okay, it is a whole number and not a decimal or a float. So I'll say brackets open here. Then I will now invoke the input function. I'll invoke the input function, and I'll say enter the year you were born. All right. Okay. And now I'll come here and say age should be equal to 2023 minus DOB. That's the year the person was born. I'll hit enter, and now I'll print to the user that you are age years old. Okay, I'll print to the user that he or she is age years old. So let's print this program. So now enter the year you were born. So I'll say 1990. Then you see it is printing you are 33 years old. Okay, all right. So now if I rerun this program, now let me enter 1995. Okay, you are 28 years old. We are actually adding the current year. To some time, this program will not be relevant. So just as we are entering 2024, now it will still calculate with 2023. So we can ask the user to enter the current year. Okay, so that the user will enter the year he or she was born and the current year as well. Then we will do the calculations for that particular user. Okay, so I will just repeat the whole of this. I will now say current year. I'll just say CY for current year, but you can name it full. I just want to leave it CY, C for current, Y for the year, current year. So enter current year. Then I will now say this should now be CY, which is the current year. All right, so if I rerun my program here, okay, so now we are going to enter the year we were born. I'll just say, okay, let me just use 2000. You see, enter current year 2023. Then you see you are 23 years old. All right, so now let's analyze this. Now the user enters the year he or she was born. then enters the current year. So this is where the logic works. It will be stored here, and we are going to be printing it here. Okay. Now, what of if the current year and the year the person was born is the same? Or if the person enters 3 numbers, 2 numbers, 1 number? What of even if the person enters 0 as the year he or she was born, and the current year to maybe 2023? Let's run our program so that I demonstrate what I'm trying to say. So the year I was born, I can use maybe 00. Then current year, I can use 2023. You see, you are 23 years old, which is not possible. Okay? I can enter 0. So we can set a range. So if you look at the year someone was born, it's actually 4 digits. Either you were born in 1872, you were born in 18 or 1740 something. So it is 4 numbers range. And the 4 numbers that the person is going to be entering, how are we going to check to know that this is what the user or the person enters? So if the user enter an information that violates how ages are being ranged, what should happen? What if the person enters the year he or she was born and it is the same as the current year? What should happen? This is what I mean. Let me run my program again. So the year I was born, if I say 2023, and my current year, I say 2023, they say you are 0 years old, which is not supposed to be possible. Okay? So to analyze this and make decisions based on the user's input, we need what we call conditions. Okay? We need conditions to be able to make decisions. All right? So conditions are for decision makings in programming. Conditions are used to make decisions based on the user's input. We are using conditions to make decisions based on what the user is going to be entering. So in our next video, we are going to be learning conditions in what? Python, where we are going to be looking at the if condition, else if condition, else condition. Then we will move into what? Loops. We'll look at the for loop and the while loop. After we are done with this, then we are going to write a program that is going to ask the user for a number, then it will generate a multiplication timetable for that particular user based on the number entered by the user. Then we are going to move ahead and learn another advanced multiplication timetable generator, where we are going to be dealing with what? Ranges of numbers. So for example, we can say enter the start number, where the user wants the multiplication to start, and enter the end number, where the user wants the multiplication timetable to end. For example, if the user wants to generate a multiplication timetable from 212 to 12112, so the start will be 2 and the end will be 12. And after the user enters this information, the program will automatically generate multiplication timetable from 2 to 12 for that particular person. Okay? So do not forget to give this video a thumbs up. In this video actually helps you a lot. Do not forget to share, like, and leave your comment. Click on the notification bell to be notified whenever I post new content like this. So this brings us to the end of today's video. See you in my next video.